Dear students, welcome back to our session on word formation processes. In the previous class, we have learned 5 methods of word formation. Today, we'll continue with a few more methods of word formation. The first one, back formation. Back formation. Take the case of resurrection. The word resurrection. Originally, the word resurrection came into being first, and after many years, the verb resurrect was back formed from resurrection. But generally, we have a tendency to believe that resurrect came first and later on resurrection. It's not so. There are certain words in English language which were thus back formed. The end part of the word resurrection is assumed to be an affix that we have given. We assume that it was an added part, it was an affix, and then we think that resurrect came first and then resurrection. But it was not so. Resurrection came into being first, and after many years, from the word resurrection, the last part got omitted and we started using resurrect as a verb. So this is a method of new word formation called back formation. Another example is edit from editor. EDIT, edit, is a verb which was back formed from the word editor. So we assume that editor is a word which we got by adding the affix or later, and edit was the word which originally existed. This is what we believe, but it's not so. In fact, editor was the first word, and after several years, for convenience, they have created a new word edit by the way of back formation. Then beg from beggar, burgle from burglar. So all these verbs were newly formed by the process of back formation. So in your textbook, in page number 82, it's given that back formation refers to the process of creating a new lexeme. Lexeme refers to a word. By removing the actual or supposed affixes. By removing the supposed affixes, we assume that these are affixes. What you see at the end of the word resurrection, editor, etc. We find or we think or assume that the last part of the word was an affix which was added additionally to it. But anyway, this assumed affix part is removed, omitted, and then you form a new word or a new lexeme which is a back formed word. Therefore, we have words such as edit from editor, then resurrect from resurrection. There are more examples in the textbook. I am not reading all the examples. You can go through the textbook thoroughly and find them. Okay, so I hope it's clear to you how words were formed by the way of back formation. Now, we'll move on to another method of word formation, that is borrowing. So, in English language, many words were borrowed from other languages. So, such borrowed words are called loan words, L-O-A-N, loan words. See, we have borrowed words from German, from French, from Latin, from Spanish, from Arabic, and so on. Sometimes these loan words or the borrowed words are translated a little bit. Sometimes without any translation or modification, we take the word as such into English language. So, some examples are given in your textbook, page number 82. From French, you have words such as entrepreneur, cafe, and so on. From German, you have words like kindergarten, hamburger, and so on. And from Japanese, the words origami, tsunami, and so on. And from Spanish, words like guerrilla, hurricane, etc. And words like algebra, algorithm, etc. come from Arabic. And from Hindi, we have chutney, bungalow, and a lot many words like guru, garam masala, jungle, khaki, etc. So it's all given clearly in italicized version in your textbook. So back formation, and then we discuss borrowing. And now we are moving on to the third method of word formation. Coinage. COINAGE. New coinages. So how words got newly coined? See, words like Google, web, browse, mail, WhatsApp, Twitter, these were newly coined as a result of the sophistication that we people underwent in course of time. Okay, and of course, yet another way of coinage is certain brand names became to be they started to be used in a generalized sense. For example, when we were all children, we used to have Q-Tex. We used to say Q-Tex for nail polish. Q-Tex was originally one brand of nail polish, and that was so popular in olden days that people started generally referring to nail polish as Q-Tex. So Q-Tex was a term which was originally a brand name which was extended to refer to all sorts of nail polish. Okay, so that's an example of coinage. A word, rather than referring to one particular brand, started being used to refer to all brands. Again, you have the word fridge. Fridge is the shortened version of the word Frigidaire. Frigidaire. Frigidaire was originally one brand of refrigerator. So the original word that you should use instead of fridge is refrigerator. But fridge is a shortened version of Frigidaire. Frigidaire was originally a brand of refrigerator. Okay, that brand name started to be it's being used to refer to all sorts of refrigerators. So it underwent a generalization. The term fridge has underwent a generalization. It was used to specifically refer to one particular refrigerator, but in course of time, people started using the word fridge to refer to all sorts of refrigerators. So the word underwent a semantic generalization. So we got a new coinage, fridge. It's so popular today, right? And then you have words like Kodak. You know what it is related to. So many words are given here like software, cyber, web, hardware, etc. So all these are examples of coinages. Okay. Now we move on to the next method, that is onomatopoeia. You might have learned this in your first or second semester when you learn Introduction to the History of Language and Literature. Onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a Latin word. This means to make names. Take the word hiss. Hiss is the sound made by a snake. Take the word quack. Quack is the sound made by a duck. Take the word buzz. It's the sound of a honeybee, right? So don't you find a correlation between these words and the sound made by the particular animal that it is referring to? Yeah, it's exactly the same. So quack is the sound that a duck makes, and thus you got a new word quack by imitating the sound that the creature makes. Many words are coined in English language by imitating or echoing the sound made by the particular object or animal that it refers to. So this method of word formation is called onomatopoeia. The spelling you have to take note, onomatopoeia, onomatopoeia. Okay, it's also known as imitation or echoism. It was an early method of word formation, onomatopoeia. Splash, the sound that you hear of water, splash. All these are examples of onomatopic terms. And now we are moving on to the next method, that is conversion. Converting, changing, right? Certain words get converted from one word class to another word class without changing the spelling or pronunciation. Take for example the word empty. The glass is empty. Consider the sentence, the glass is empty. This is an empty glass. That means it's an adjective, right? Then take another sentence. I emptied the bottle. So in the second sentence, empty is used as a verb. I emptied the bottle. There was something inside the bottle and then I emptied the bottle. It's a verb. But in the first case, this is an empty glass. This is an empty bottle. It's an adjective, right? Okay. So one part of speech is converted to another part of speech in the method of conversion. And then you have other answer. You have to write the answer. Take the sentence, you have to write the answer. Here, answer is used as a noun, but take another sentence. You should answer me. Here, answer is a verb. Okay? Again, bottle is used as a noun and as a verb. My grandmother bottled the juice. Bottled the juice. It's a verb, an action. My grandmother put the juice in a bottle. So, again, bottle used as a noun. So, there are many words in English language which can be used as a verb and as a noun. Some of the examples are empty, answer, bottle, and so on. There are plenty of other examples. So, this is yet another way of word formation. The same word is used to denote another meaning. Okay? Then, we are moving on to the last method of word formation, that is reduplication. Reduplication. Duplicate, which means doubling, or some similarity or sameness is there behind the word duplication, right? So take the word bye-bye. Two words exactly alike are put side by side to get a new expression. When you bid farewell to somebody, you say bye-bye, right? Again, you say goody-goody. So these are all examples of total reduplication. Total, exactly the words are alike. Two exactly similar words are kept adjacent to each other and you get a total reduplication. Bye-bye. But you take words like walkie-talkie, ding-dong, etc. Here, it's called partial reduplication. Ding and dong. Ding-dong. Of course, 90% similarity is there, but a little bit of difference is there. Ding-dong or walkie-talkie, willy-nilly. All these are examples of partial reduplication. So such words and expressions are also there in English. Sometimes it will be exactly alike, like bye-bye. Sometimes it will be slightly different, like the case of ding-dong. Okay, some expressions are there in English which uses reduplication process. So we have discussed 11 methods of word formation in total. 11 methods of word formation in total. We started with derivation, then we learned compounding, then we came across clipping, then we came across acronyms and alphabetisms, then we learned what is blending, then we discussed back formation, then borrowing, coinages, then onomatopoeia and reduplication. So what you need to do is you have to make a chart, or in your notebook itself you can draw 2 columns, write on top of one column you have to write word formation process, and on the other side you have to write on top examples. So 11 methods are there. You have to number and write all these methods in capital letters, and then on the adjacent column you have to write 2 examples each. You know why I insist on doing this? It's of great help to you. You can define the method and give the description on your own words, in your own words, once you learn this properly in a tabular form. So the examples are there in your mind. So the description you can write on your own. Okay, the only thing is you have to remember the name of the process correctly and the examples and how the process is done to get a new word. Okay, I hope you will do this, and when you write an essay you are expected to write it in an elaborate way. Each method should be explained and then 2 examples each. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you.